Good morning, welcome back to Planet Doug. I'm here in Ho Chi Minh City. Got a bit of a puddle here to navigate, stepping out into traffic. But yeah, I'm here in Ho Chi Minh City, about a block away from my hotel. And this morning, I wasn't going to go out anywhere, but the sun is shining, and I thought I'd better take advantage of that. And I decided to take a walk to yet another museum. Saigon is blessed with a lot of really interesting museums, and I'm trying to check out as many of them as I can in the time that I have here. And I'm not sure what else will follow the museum. This one is called the Museum of Ho Chi Minh City. And you've got to be careful with this, as I talked about before. There are two museums with a similar name. There's like, this one is the Museum of Ho Chi Minh City, and then there's the Museum of History in Ho Chi Minh City, or something like that. And the first one I went to was all about the history of the country. And I don't know this for sure, but I have an idea that I'm going to wait here for a minute just to make sure I get a clear green light to cross. I would have got caught in the middle of the road had I tried to make this one. I learned my lesson here at this intersection already. But I think this museum does have elements of the country, but I think it focuses more on the history of the city itself. So it is a museum about Ho Chi Minh City. So that's my guess. I don't know that for sure. We'll find out when I get there. It's about 1.5 kilometers in this direction. Very similar direction to where I've been going the last few days. But I'm taking a slightly different route to get there. Ooh, look at that. I didn't know there was a big smartphone electronics store in my neighborhood like that. My route to the market is taking me in this direction, heading towards all the skyscrapers of Ho Chi Minh City. Another major construction project over there. And I believe this is going to be an entrance into the new Ho Chi Minh City subway system, I think. There's going to be a major subway station here somewhere. Probably an entrance over there as well, on the other side of the street. And that is the, this is going to be the Ben Thanh market stop, because that is the Ben Thanh market over there, I believe. I haven't been inside that market yet. I might end up popping in there today after I visit the museum, just maybe to go for a stroll through it with my 360 camera, something like that. Capture a bit of the interior in a candid way. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, as I said, I think this is going to be the Ben Thanh Market subway stop. Here we are, Ben Thanh Market. I don't know much about the market. From what I've seen online, it is mainly a tourism market. So you just go in there as a tourist and you can buy some trinkets and souvenirs and things. And there might be some more traditional areas as well, food and things like that. But I have not been inside yet. Perhaps today is the day. But first, museum. And then maybe the museum will have some information about the market. Who knows? It's such an important part of Saigon's history. A very entertaining aspect of being here in Ho Chi Minh City, the number of foreign visitors like me I haven't been around that many foreigners for a while because the places I've been just happen to be places where there aren't a lot of Western tourists. So being here and I'm seeing so many other foreigners, it kind of reminds me that we come in so many different sizes and shapes and styles, speaking different languages, different fashion, all these things. I kind of forgot about that. So you see guys here, big, black, bushy beards. You see guys with all the muscles, and they always wear the tank tops to show off all the muscles they have. Tall, skinny guys. And then for the women, so many different styles of dress and jewelry. And then whenever I see some foreigners, I tend to want to throw out a little bit of small talk, share the experience we're having. But then I hear them speaking and, oh, they're speaking Portuguese or Italian or Greek or French. And then I feel a little bit more reluctant to just throw some English at them. I know they can all understand English. But yeah, it's just been a lot of fun just being around all of these Western tourists. So I'm getting closer to the museum, not that far away now. As I said, I don't know much about it, so I don't even know what kind of a building it's inside. I assume it's some sort of a French colonial historic building. So I've got my eyes open for anything looking very French. I've been curious about the whole eWallet market here, and I just came across this vending machine. And I've seen a lot of people, local people, paying with things with their smartphones. They're just scanning and tapping and doing all that sort of stuff. But I don't really know what any of the systems are or whether they're open to foreigners. Somehow I doubt it, but I just found this machine and I clicked on a Pepsi, and then it's giving me these payment options. Tien, I guess that's cash, V-Momo, mobile money, VN Pay, and Zalo Pay. So those are the options that they're giving me. And they do accept bills down there at the bottom. But apparently you can pay with cash or scan or scan QR payment. But I don't know if it's possible for someone like me to set up a local e-wallet. I've heard from some people that no, that's not allowed here for foreigners. If I turned on that machine and I saw touch and go and it worked in Vietnam, that would have been a fun experience. I've arrived at the intersection and the entrance to the museum. Very easy to get here. No drama this morning. And as expected, it's in a very grand building. Look at that. As I always say, with these museums, the buildings are as interesting as whatever is contained inside them. So here's the sign, Museum of Ho Chi Minh City. And there's the ticket box over there. But I'm just gonna walk down the street along the front for a minute just to take in the scale of the building. My gosh. I wonder what it used to be, who built it and what it was built for. Again, I'm guessing it's a French colonial building. That's one thing I noticed when I went to the Independence Palace yesterday. I found out the whole story about how there was originally a palace built by the French, and it was a giant French colonial building with the architectural styles that the French from that era are famous for. And then when it was bombed and badly damaged, the then president commissioned a brand new one to replace it, and he hired a Vietnamese architect. And I was very impressed with the building, but mainly on the inside. When I went into the building, the decor and the style, the open airiness of it, was a very impressive building on the inside. From the outside, though, it didn't really look like very much to me. It was just a rectangle. And I guess that was a choice by the Vietnamese architect. And I noticed that the name of the architect, his family name, No, was the same family as the president at the time. I struggle with pronunciation, but the president at that time who commissioned it was like No Dun Diem. I guess everyone calls him Diem, something like that. But he ruled with the help of all of his family members, his 4 brothers in particular. But I noticed that the architect shared the same family name. So I'm wondering whether that was a bit of nepotism from the president as well. I'm not sure. But they talked about how that design of that building was specifically Vietnamese combined with European elements. But for my money, from the outside anyway, the original French palace was much more attractive. It was much more ornate on the outside, looked like a French colonial building. And then the Vietnamese version was much more rectangular. Didn't have a lot of decorations on the outside, and all of the decor and the interesting architecture was on the inside. So yeah, look at that. I guess it would not be a museum in Ho Chi Minh City without some weaponry on the outside. I have to go take a look at that first. And I got a little bit more technical this morning. As you can see, I have a GoPro mounted on my chest harness here. And the museums I've been visiting lately, they've been telling me you can't take any video. So I thought if I have this on my chest, maybe if I have to put away my main GoPro, I can get a couple of little shots here and there using this one being a bit unobtrusive. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, I'm dripping with cameras today. 2 GoPros and a 360 camera, and I'm taking pictures and video with my smartphone. So another beautiful park right across the road. Keep talking about them, but I'm so impressed with the number of parks in Ho Chi Minh City and just how pleasant they all are. Look at that central tree. Just a small corner park, but look how that improves the neighborhood. One more look at the building here, and then I'm going to head inside. I don't know how much it costs, but I'm getting 50,000 dong out in advance. Can't be much more than that. Yep. Oh. Thank you. Oh. Oh, you take the ticket. Okay. So it was 30,000 dong, and I got the ticket at the window, but I hadn't gone 2 steps when there was a man at a table who took away my ticket, so I don't have my ticket anymore. But this is being filmed with my the GoPro on my chest harness, and it's inside a GoPro Media Mod, so I'm hoping it picks up some limited audio. When I recently got my new Hero 12 with the Media Mod, part of my plan was to take my old broken Media Mod and put it onto my Hero 9 like this, and then I can get better audio when I have a GoPro mounted this way. That's a very cool car. And we have a Canon over here. Found at the site of Na Bay Fortress in 1980. There's the front of the building and the main entrance. But first I'm going to head in this direction and take a look at the helicopters, or the helicopter and the jet. Yeah, I read a lot online that this place is famous for its staircase. And if you come here on the weekend or at busy periods, the staircases are used for wedding photography. And you'll find a lot of wedding groups here getting their wedding pictures taken. Taking it, oh, there's a bride, another one in her white dress ascending the stairs. Beautiful. That's a fascinating looking beast. And what have we got? It is an anti-aircraft artillery, 37 millimeter from 1939, manufactured by the Soviet Union. The language in these places is always slightly amusing. This piece of artillery was used to fight against the destruction war of American Air Force in the North in 1964. And a jet. I'm assuming these were American weapons, American jets and a helicopter that were shot down. Let's see if that turns out to be true. It's not entirely clear. It says on April 28th, 1975, the Victory Determination Squadron, commanded by Nguyen Tan Trung, a captain of the Vietnamese People's Army, researched and used an A-37 fighter, which had just been seized from the enemy. So that's quite the story. They took off from Tan Son Panrong Airport to attack Tan Son Nhat Airport. It destroyed 26 aircrafts and cut off the urgent military aid of America for Saigon armed forces. And I think this jet over here relates to the story of the bombing of the Independence Palace. So on April 8th, 1975, Nguyen Tan Trung, a Vietnamese soldier who was secretly operating inside the Saigon Air Force as a lieutenant, so he was a spy basically, drove this F-5 fighter to bomb the Independence Palace, the headquarters of the Saigon puppet regime. They've always got to stick the puppet in there, make it derogatory, that they were not a legitimate government from their perspective. And a UH-1 helicopter. These are so iconic of the Vietnam War, of course. Up close, they always look much larger than I thought they were. In movies, they look smaller, but I guess that's the case with everything. The closer you get to something, the larger it appears. Particularly the rotors up there. The rotors look huge. Gives you a better sense of how this thing can get off the ground. You get a lot of lift with rotors that size. So is there a legend to go along with this particular Huey? Doesn't seem to be a specific story, but just says that after April 30th, 1975, overcoming any technical difficulties, the Vietnamese Air Force used UH-1 helicopters seized from the enemy. So, yeah, they seized some of these and used them themselves. I guess when they say overcame technical difficulties, you know, basically they had to keep them flying, mechanics and spare parts, and of course they had to learn how to fly them. So I guess those would be the technical difficulties, I assume. Going around the rear of the Huey and the two jets. Beautiful grounds as well here. Look at the size of that tree. Makes it such a wonderful place with the shade just to sit around. And over here, perhaps the last weapon on display, a tank. Has the Vietnamese star on it. Just by looking at it, I can't tell. I'm no weapons expert. I couldn't tell you what kind of tank it is or from what country, who made it. So it's a bit of a guessing game. Chinese, Russian. To me, to my eye, it doesn't look American for some reason, but I could be absolutely wrong about that. Let's see what's going on here. Tank M41 was shipped to the south of Vietnam by the US troops since 1965 in order to equip the Saigon armed forces to attack the Southern Revolution. In Ho Chi Minh's historic campaign in 1975, this tank was confiscated by the liberation forces on the way to liberate Saigon. When you see even the English translations, one thing you note, someone told me that Vietnamese is a monosyllabic language. So I think of Saigon as one word, but you'll always see it separated into two words, Saigon. And then Vietnamese seems to be like that, very small monosyllabic words. You don't see multi-syllables in one word. So that's quite interesting. So I end up saying things quite differently, and it takes a while for me to pick up on it. There are all these coffee shops at the side of the road. They're cafes. But when I look at them, I was like, oh, what is that over there? But on the sign, it says Ca, C-A, with all kinds of markings on it. And then Fe is a separate word. So even cafe, 2 syllables, they separate it into 2 words, and it's actually Ca, Fe. So the words come out in a very staccato rhythm, seems to me. Ca, Fe, Saigon. It's not Saigon, Saigon. It's like a jumping from syllable to syllable very abruptly like that. But I guess I was absolutely wrong. This is an American tank. It doesn't say exactly, it doesn't say what company made it or anything, but these were brought in by the Americans. So I'm just about to head in, and I don't have my GoPro in my hand, just in case people have trouble with that. So I have my chest harness GoPro operating. And there's the famous stairway. Fascinating room, this first one, because as you would expect, Saigon is in a river system, and as a major city it developed based on river traffic. So this whole first room is all about its relationship to shipping and goods delivery, things like that. So the best part of the exhibit, of course, for me, are the photographs. So right here, you can see some of the history of Saigon. Can you imagine being here at this time? That's my main takeaway from this room. This reminds me of scenes that I actually saw in Bangladesh on the river there. And this period of history strikes me as it would have been a much more interesting time to visit than, say, modern times. Of course, modern times is a lot more comfortable, a lot more delicious food and drinks and ease of life. But of course, back in these days, it would have been a bustling place. So here's a map. There shows the location of Saigon on the Saigon River. And then the shipping would go all the way up to Cholon. And a lot of the displays are of lanterns that would be used for guiding the ships. I mean, look at that scene right there. It's from 1860. It's gorgeous. And then all the tools that were used for loading and unloading goods. And that theme continues all the way around. Steamships now up here. Those were sail ships back in the 1860s, and these are all steamships. 1900, 1908, and then down here, 1931. It's a railway line. And then modern day shipping containers. And it shows the increase in tonnage of goods being shipped through Saigon. Big increase by 2015, of course. But again, this is the Saigon I would have loved to have visited right there. This is a blow up of that earlier picture that we saw. I saw scenes exactly like that still ongoing in Dhaka in Bangladesh. And the loading and unloading of all these goods. tax receipts. So these sticks were used for counting rice bags brought in and out of the warehouse. So they would hand these out based on the number of bags going in and out to calculate taxes. It's an interesting display. Filling up bottles with kerosene, I assume. There's another street scene from back in that period. It's fascinating to see. And this is interesting because I went to My Tho on the tour to the River Delta, and I read that the very first railway line in Vietnam connected Saigon with My Tho. It doesn't exist anymore, but there it is in action. And the airport, when it was built, and down here it talks about the My Tho Railway, 71 kilometers connecting Saigon to My Tho. Saigon My Tho Railway, built in 1881, but it no longer exists as far as I know. Bygone era. And of course, with the goods all being shipped in and out and currencies, they have to have a variety of systems of weights and measures. So when people pay for things and weigh things, so this is a display talking about that. And on my way here, I passed the Ben Thanh market, and there you can see it there. That picture was taken in 1925 of the Ben Thanh market. And again, it would have been a real local market back in those days, of course, not a tourism market. It's Cho Lon, further up the river from Saigon. And then more of a modern store here. Cho Bin Thai, 1931. And here in the sign it says that the Ben Thanh market was built between 1912 and 1914. So it's 110 years old. And the very top picture here, well, number 2, where's number 2? Right over here. A fruit market in 1926. Yeah, fascinating room. It puts Saigon in a whole new perspective when you think about it historically, the importance of the river and river trade, sailing ships at the beginning, then steamships, railroads, things like that, leading to, and then now modern cargo ships. So room number 1, time to move on. Inside room number 2, another fascinating room. This one is dedicated quite a bit to maps, historical maps of Saigon, showing the history and development, but alongside the maps are some photographs, and they're interesting because you get the comparison side by side. So right here, for example, there's like 2 columns of photographs that are of similar places, but everything on the left is 2022 and on the right is 1955. So this is the Dao Hu Canal in 2022, and then right beside it, the Tao Hu Canal in 1955. So tremendous difference. This is clearly a working canal, and then over here, I think it's been turned into a tourism spot. But it's interesting to see these two, because I'd never heard of this place, this canal, but clearly it is a place for visitors to visit. So now I have to make a mental note to find out where this place is and go there at some point. So here again is a Hmong Bridge 2022, and there's the Hmong Bridge in 1955. Again, tremendous difference, a completely different world. The Argonne Wharf in 1955. There's a whole wall of really nice photographs to get the comparison. And then on the other wall, we get a few maps. And maps from this era, of course, are always fascinating because I often wonder how they know things. Because it's not like they could fly a drone up in the air, go up in a balloon, and get an aerial view, but they somehow have the skill to recreate what they see in map forms. This is 1815. This is an illustration of the French attacking Guilladin citadel on 1859. And this exhibit talks about this place. For example, in the old region of Guilladin, from end of the 16th century to early 17th century, there were migrants who came to claim the land and form hamlets. So they're talking about old history of Guilladin, and then it talks about that Saigon, Guilladin city, so the names were actually combined at some point. This area was called Saigon Guilladin, had the honor to be named after President Ho Chi Minh. So on July 2nd, 1976, the name was changed from Saigon Guilladin City to Ho Chi Minh City. Room 3 is also quite interesting because it takes the approach of all of the archaeological digs that have taken place in the Ho Chi Minh City area. So this map shows all of the locations where they've done archaeological sites, dug them up, and of course come up with all kinds of stone tools, pottery, jewelry, some artwork, and all of this is dating back 2,000 to 3,000 years from what I can see on all the signs. And they have a nice exhibit here in the middle of the floor showing what all of this would look like when they discover it and then they dig it up. And then there's another exhibit about the fauna and the flora of this area, as well as the geology, the various types of stone and rock formations. There's a section of geological hydrography in the northwest, southeast direction. Here it says the earliest date is about 3,500 years ago. And I tested these QR codes. You can scan that if you like, and it takes you to a website with an audio track, but the audio is only in Vietnamese. There's no English audio there. And it probably just reads that aloud, I think. But yeah, there are QR codes throughout the museum, but as far as I can tell, they are in Vietnamese. But everything here is in Vietnamese and in English. So for the most part, you can understand everything you're seeing here. They did a nice job from that point of view, doing an English translation. I'm not sure what room number I'm up to. I was going to call this room number 4. The rooms here aren't actually numbered by the museum. I'm just numbering them based on the rooms as I visit them one by one. But this room number 4 for me, I believe, is all about handicrafts, starting with pottery. The exhibit makes a big point about how modern day Vietnam is all about high-tech and very sophisticated manufacturing. I think a lot of the cameras that we use today are actually, if you look at the labels, they'll say made in Vietnam. But in the past, there was a lot more handicrafts, which still exist to today. Pottery, for example, jewelry making here, woodwork over here. This is a display of all the woodworking tools that would be used to make something like that up there. Again, I'm always pretty much in awe of any artist of any kind that can work in any material, because I have no artistic abilities at all. It feels like a magical power to me to be able to make anything. Leather work, cobbling, and of course fabric with a loom, and bronze, of course. I mentioned that I was curious about what this building used to be, and I was curious about the name Gia Long or Gia Long, and it turns out that the two are somewhat connected. So apparently this building was known as the Gia Long Palace, and was built between 1885 and 1890. And so before 1975, it was called the Gia Long Palace because the street and the park in front of it were named after Gia Long. And then there was a long history. This building has been used for many different reasons. It was the palace of the South Vietnam vice governor. Then it became South Vietnam governor's residence, then South Vietnam envoys, and then it became a regional party committee, and on and on and on. It's been used many different ways until it was finally turned into a museum today. And there's something about a tunnel, and I'm not sure what's going on there. But yeah, I was watching all of the wedding parties. Very interesting. One thing I can't imagine is doing wedding photography here, because it is quite warm, and I'm just in shorts and a t-shirt. And if you dressed me up in a bridal gown or a tuxedo and tried to take nice pictures of me, well, that would be quite challenging. I'd be sweating so badly. I'd sweat right through the clothes before you could blink. And my face would be red. It'd be the worst wedding pictures of all time. So yeah, they're quite brave to take their wedding photography here in this sort of heat. So apparently I found the tunnel. I don't know what the tunnel is or where it goes. And well, I guess it goes underground. But if I follow the tunnel to the end, I don't know where I'm going to end up. I don't hear any other people down here. Oh my goodness, we're really going down. I'm going through the tunnel. Ooh. Okay, so there's a gate over here. And at the beginning of the tunnel, there was a big door like this, like it was a vault. So maybe this is where they kept all of their valuables down here. Oh, some history, which I haven't read through yet. I'll come back in a minute. What's over here? Oh, so I guess this might have been some kind of a bunker, maybe a vault for valuables, but maybe for safety as well, like a panic room sort of thing. Anyway, I'm just going to follow it all the way to the end. Well, oh, where do we come up? And I'll go back down and read that, read the signs at that exhibit. So, yeah, check that out. That is a solid door. Yeah, so there's the museum building there, the Gia Long Palace. And the side building here looks quite interesting. And the parking area. So, yeah, a little slot here. I guess you could shoot people through that. But anyway, let's go back down and read the exhibit. Ooh, look at that, more. I assume those are holes for firing weapons through all of those openings. So this exhibit basically shows photographs of important events that took place here at this building. So this was a commercial museum the Southern Governor's Palace in 1890. And I guess in this building was a ceremony to accept the Japanese surrender on November 29th, 1945. Demonstration of students when the governor, I guess it was the governor's residence, anti-American demonstration, and to observe the coup d'etat on November 1st, 1963. And this is a map of where I am now, the design of underground shelter of Geelong Palace. So it was actually, it was a shelter meant for safety and security. It was not, maybe they kept valuables down here as well, but that word there calls it a shelter. Yeah, interesting. And kind of makes sense that it's a shelter just because it has some furniture down here. So I guess you need furniture if you're going to be hanging out here for a long time. But it wouldn't be comfortable. I mean, I'm looking around for anything like water or a bathroom or anything at all. But no, this is not a place to live. This is a very temporary shelter. I guess when the coup d'etat is underway, you duck down here until it's over and close this door behind you and nobody can get in. Unless they somehow, I guess, bash through the walls. Ah, very interesting. I'm going to go back through the tunnel, back up into the building where I started. I think we can go up to the second floor. Room 5, perhaps room 6, if you count the tunnel, is dedicated to the various cultures of Vietnam. The Vietnamese, of course, the Chinese, the Cham, the Khmer. And this room, for example, talks about the different wedding ceremonies for each of the groups. So this would be a wedding dress for the Khmer people, and over here the wedding costume for the Cham, and the wedding ceremony. And wedding ceremony here of the Viet. Beautiful display here of a dining room set and a family altar. Before you come in, they have a section here talking about the traditional, what they call tutelary gods, so that each village has its own god that is their guardian and a protector for their village, and they'll have an altar to their gods, god. God of wealth over here. And across the way, room number 7, theater arts and education. I haven't been inside there yet. That's where I'm heading next. I've gone through the music section about theater and art and drama, and it shows all the musical instruments of the Khmer people, the Viet people, and then the traditional plays that they would put on, the dramas with lots of music and singing. And but there's doing some wedding photography over there, so I'm tucked away here in the corner where there's a display about education. But right ahead of me is a spiral staircase, and I have no idea if it goes anywhere. Maybe you just go up to the top and come back down again, but I'm going to take a look. Maybe this will take me up to the second floor. Or maybe not. I was just about to hit my head up here. Yeah, there's a ceiling. It's so dark up here, I didn't even notice. But no, it doesn't go anywhere. It is not a stairway to heaven. It is a stairway to nowhere. And And then, yeah, just meant for fun and for decoration. But I assume, of course, it used to be functional. But they've just sealed it off now. Oh, it turns out that they're actually recording audio in there. The two girls up on stage are being recorded as they're speaking. So I hope I didn't disturb them by talking while I was going up and down the stairs. But this is where the tunnel emerged. Yeah, I think right there is the exit from the tunnel. Yeah, right down there, that's where I was. That's where the tunnel comes out. And I noticed this attached building over here. I wonder if from over here I can get a view of the front. I think I have to backtrack through the music room, and I don't want to disturb those girls doing their speech. After I visited the History Museum, I went there earlier, a few days ago, I commented that the account of history, just as a series of governments and military battles, doesn't leave you with a lot of information at the end of it. You don't feel a whole lot smarter afterwards. And I was saying that what I needed was a museum that took a look at the country of Vietnam from kind of a segmented point of view. Vietnamese music, Vietnamese art, Vietnamese language, Vietnamese money. So there's a currency display behind me there. So that's kind of what this museum is. So I'm enjoying it from that point of view. Fantastic building, just like all the buildings here, just incredible. And not the building, just the building, but also the grounds. You see that fountain out there? Beautiful pond. Well, more like a waterfall, I guess. I'm up on the second floor now. I came up this really big staircase. Very heavy duty, everything. Look at that. And over here is the currency exhibit. Vietnam currency. Tien Vietnam. It looks like they go way back in history. And as I've talked about in other museums, I remember looking this up, but then I forgot the reason for cutting a square in the center of coins like these. You see it in many countries all over the world, where they cut a square or even a circle in the middle of the coin. And there's a reason for it, but I can't remember what the reason is. And then paper currency, so I'm going to slow down and look at all the different exhibits and read through the descriptions. These coins date back a long time in history. So for example, they're talking about this first exhibit of coins going back to the year 1360, 1428, dates like that. And when I was talking about the squares, the holes in the middle of the coins, the only reason I could come up with last time was that this was done so that you could string them up on a string or a cord. And it looks like I was correct, because right around the corner here, it shows them strung together. So you could have a large number of them equaling a certain value. Here in the casting process, tell step by step the entire method for making the coins. And step 14, coins are finally strung in lots of 600 each. So in order to make it easier to put large numbers of coins together, that's why they have the hole through the middle, which makes a lot of sense, where you just put a rope through it and count out 600 of them, and you can have a much larger amount of currency all in one bundle, pre-counted. And the other thing I picked up from this display is that these coins are all made from bronze. And then during the French colonial era, the French introduced a new currency, European style, silver coins, but without a hole in the middle. So, yeah. And then, of course, eventually we moved on to paper currency, as you see here. Moving through the second floor. This appears to be room 7A, according to the museum. Has a number near the door. And this is all about what they call here the War of Independence. So this room is artifacts from the War of Independence, a lot of random items that were recovered on the battlefields. They called a lot of these things booty, so I think they belonged to French soldiers and later on, I guess, American soldiers, with a display of a jungle sleeping hammock. One interesting thing I noticed is this water filter. It said it was dating from 1963 to 75, and I owned that exact same water filter. That's from a company called Katadyn that I bought back in the 90s. Looked exactly the same, except mine was blue, but exactly the same structure from top to bottom. Didn't know that design was so old. And in the next room, it's quite a large display of weaponry and photographs from the war with the Americans. And it's a story, of course, that I've seen a few times already at the War Remnants Museum and other places. Though here it has a little bit more of a focus on Ho Chi Minh City itself. So for example, this is a map of the Ho Chi Minh campaign as they surrounded the city and finally defeated the Americans here. And there's a famous photograph from the Independence Palace. They talk about the tank of the Liberation Army knocking down the gate of Independence Palace. There's a photograph of the moment when it happened or shortly afterwards. And one of the most interesting photographs for me was this one here. It just shows a street filled with abandoned boots and army uniforms. It says that the Army of the Republic of Vietnam disbanded and fled on April 30th, 1975. So that's everything the soldiers stripped off before they ran away. And as you move around the room, you get a summary of some of the battles that took place throughout the city. Another map, General Offensive and Uprising. A lot of references here to Cu Chi, which is nearby. So for example, here's a photograph of where they're digging the Cu Chi tunnels. And I think I'll be going out there on a half-day tour to visit the Cu Chi tunnels. So there they are digging them, and a lot of this fighting that you see in these photographs was taking place in the Cu Chi area, just outside of Ho Chi Minh City. And I saw these photographs also at the War Remnants Museum. The one there in the middle, that man, he was being led on his way to his own execution, and when that photograph was taken, being held at the prison. And, demonstrations against the Americans and the government of South Vietnam at the time. way. An interesting bicycle carrying. You look at that and you think, there's no way anybody carried a load that big on a bicycle, but they certainly did, and they still do today. A wagon. And a couple of motorcycles and a Vespa. And I think right here we'll see a little bit of a wedding photography ongoing. I think this wedding party has been here the entire time that I've been here. They must be getting exhausted by now. But they're real troopers. And if I know my pictures from modern history, I'm pretty sure this is the American Embassy. So this would show the moment and the Americans were fleeing via helicopter from the roof. Very famous scene. Pretty sure that's the American Embassy. I don't know what's here. Another room. Oh. And this room is, so anyway, it starts off with the story of the August Revolution, which is quite a confusing time in their history. I haven't quite got it straight in my head exactly what the August Revolution was all about, because this was happening in 1945. World War II was ending. The Germans surrendered. The Japanese, I guess, were continuing to fight. So this was all taking place in 1945, and as they say up there on the top, the Germans surrendered to the Allies, and then in Vietnam, on March 9th, 45, the Japanese overthrew the French authorities, and then the party launched a resistance movement against the Japanese fascists. So they're fighting against the Japanese and the French in some sort of combination. And on the early morning of August 25th, 1945, millions of people in Saigon and from neighboring provinces flocked to the center. And this was the August Revolution, apparently. And this is all taken from that time period. These displays and the newspaper articles and photographs. But yeah, I don't quite have the August Revolution straight in my head, exactly what that was all about and what it accomplished, and even who they were fighting at the time. Were they fighting the Japanese or were they fighting the French? I have to do I've read a little bit about it, but to be honest, I haven't been able to get it straight in my mind what exactly that was all about. And I read through everything here, but to be honest, I still don't really know what happened. Here in my favorite room, talking about the river system and all the sailboat, steamboat, cargo ships of Ho Chi Minh City. There's a great photograph right there. It's one of my favorites too. Shows the sailing ships from 1860. So right here in this room, I think I will end my visit to this museum. I enjoyed that a lot. Got a lot of atmosphere, a lot of information, a lot of ideas from this museum. Again, looking at these photographs right here that I didn't get from the other history museum. It gives you a sense of the culture and the history of trade that took place here. And then there are the individual exhibits about music, about art, about theater, about currency, again, about the war, liberation wars and things like that. And then on top of that, you have the interesting building. And then on top of that, you have, of course, all the wedding photography, which is kind of fascinating to see as well. So yeah, I'm really glad I made the effort to come here. So from here, let's jump over to the Ben Thanh market. So there it is. I'm outside the Ben Thanh market. It was only like less than a kilometer from the museum, maybe even half a kilometer. So I got here very quickly. And I was saying in the museum, a lot of the photographs I was looking at made me think that the Saigon of 100 years ago would have been more interesting to me personally than visiting the Saigon of today. And I think this market will illustrate that. I think this market, when it was built back in the early 1900s, I think it was, yeah, it would have been a very interesting traditional market, part of the local community. Today, I guess it's really just a tourism market. Could be quite interesting at the same time. But as I said, I'm going to put my GoPro away for this, and I'm just going to get out my 360 camera and just do a walkthrough and see what I come up with. So that's it. I have the 360 camera up and running, and I do have a microphone attached to it, so it will be recording my voice if I have something to say. But let's go for a walk through the market. I think for me, not surprisingly, the building itself is going to be of the most interest. It's pretty unlikely that I'll be filling my knapsack with t-shirts and souvenirs. I have no place to put any of these things. So yeah, just looking up at the ceiling gives a sense of its age. Oh, there's actually more local goods here than I expected, but I guess it is such a big market. They couldn't sell only souvenirs. That would be way too much. So it looks like, yeah, looking off to the left and to the right, you see handbags and running shoes, a lot of bolts of fabric. And I guess visitors, tourists would be interested in these things, but local people would be as well, depending on the price, I guess. Yeah, more shoes than I expected to see. I assume back when this market was first built, would have been a lot more produce, right? Farming products brought in for sale from the countryside. Fish, just a regular produce market, food and meat, fish, vegetables, things like that. Hello. Yeah. Ah, this is probably the more interesting end of the market for me. Ah, looks good. Food and drink. I'll probably settle down here in this area once I do a walkthrough with my 360 camera. It's a lot bigger than I expected, that is for sure. Looking in both directions, it just seems to go on for a long ways. So this whole area is the food market. Not right now, no thanks. Back in the main lane here. Yeah, I suppose I'll cross over, maybe find one of the narrow lanes going all the way back to the front. And that can be my full circuit of the market. I don't know how much room there's going to be. Here's one right here, a little narrow laneway. So yeah, let's head up here. Walk back to the front. Not right now, thank you. Coffee?
She's anything else, sir? Handbag, backpack?
Handbags, yeah.
Hello, have some tea and coffee, Vietnamese coffee, sir.
Looks good, thank you.
You want to buy coffee and hello, sir. Vietnam tea, Vietnam coffee, sir. Vietnam, very nice.
Thank you. Seems like, yeah, Vietnamese coffee is a big seller, which makes sense. Maybe I won't go all the way to the front, down that narrow one. I'll go down this medium lane here. A lot more nuts and chips, and tea.
Hello, look you, what you want now? Coffee.
Yeah, so I think this is where I came in from that direction. And maybe I'll walk all the way down to the end through here and go outside the market, out the back. And then I'll look for something to eat and something to drink. Something to drink first, I think. Find one of those smoothie places, a fruit smoothie. So it looks like this is the north gate, number 9. I think of it as the rear entrance. Here's the wet market back here, which makes sense. Here we are, the back side of the market. Just cross the street. Take a look at the market from over here. Ben Thanh Market. So yeah, that's it for my 360 tour. I'm gonna go back inside now. Try to find something to drink, maybe something to eat. All right, heading back into the market. My last small adventure for the morning is to at least get something to drink, maybe get something to drink and eat. We'll see how things go. Well, there's a smoothie place right here in front of me. So why don't I do this? Banana?
Banana, one.
Yeah, one. Try that.
You.
So I started off over there, but all the seats are taken. And I ended up down here, and I'm getting a banana smoothie. And I was actually looking for this kind of a coffee experience, because when I was in Vietnam originally, a long time ago, this is how all the coffee was made. It didn't even look quite like that. It had more of a triangular shape. Condensed milk and then ground coffee filtered through. But I haven't seen that actually being prepared anywhere. It's the first time I've seen it. Ooh. So as I said, I ordered a banana shake, and it came. And it's so good. It's exactly what I was hoping for. Thick, very, very thick and filling. Delicious. And I ordered beef noodle soup while I'm sitting here. It's 60,000 for the beef noodle soup, 30,000 for the banana shake, and you get leaves all the time. And someone brought me a bottle of water, which I opened, and as you can see, it just went straight into my stomach. I emptied it in seconds. Nice cold water. So this is going to be my my lunch for today. So it's time to dive in. Lunch is done. My beef noodles went down very quickly. I didn't film eating the noodles. Everyone has seen a grown man eating beef noodles before. They were very good. I actually added quite a bit of spicing to it, the chili sauce and other things. And just for fun, I ordered some dessert. I ordered one of these, ban flan. And the one reason I'm ordering dessert is because you hear that sound. Thank you. That's a rain. Heavy, heavy rain out there coming down. So I'm stuck here for a little while. Might as well have dessert while I wait for the rain to stop. Really loud. You can't even hear yourself. But here's the environment where I am. I can feel the rain coming through the roof. There's like a mist coming down, and raindrops too. Yeah, very heavy rain out there. Happens every day, though this is pretty early, 1:30 in the afternoon. The other day it wasn't until 4, 5, something like that. But I really like these places. The Vietnamese seem to be my kind of people. Thank you. They're very practical people. I'm a big believer in adapting to your environment. And a place like this, for example, they get a lot of foreigners like me. They cater to foreign tourists. So what do? They make pictures of all their food, just like this. So Vietnamese, English, picture. And then on the menu, same thing with all the prices. And all the prices are up to date. And they have this seating here, stools and a counter, menu at every stool. And yeah, someone comes up to you, and they're also very practical because I ordered a banana smoothie, and I don't think this woman had any bananas. So she just shouted over to the woman next to us and basically said, "What about, you got any bananas?" And she said, "Yeah, we'll get you one." And then they brought over a banana smoothie, but then the money from here goes over there. They're very practical. They just work things out. My ban doesn't quite live up to the picture, unfortunately. So there's the picture, sort of a custard maybe with a caramel, and this is what came here. It's probably exactly the same thing. It just doesn't look quite as pleasing. But there is oh yeah, there's a nice big piece of a flan in there. You can see it, right? The top and the bottom. Looks very good with a lot of ice. And I'm not sure what the flavor is, like the sauce, like a kind of caramel or something. I don't care what it looks like. It's very good. Very, very good. And my whole lunch here, the shake, the water, the beef noodles, and the flan came to 140,000 dong total. It has a coffee flavor, I think. Coffee flavor. It's very good. Everybody here is adjusting their food stalls because of all the water coming down through the roof. Got to make some adjustments up there so the water doesn't cause any damage. Rain is still coming down hard. You can probably hear it up there. But I did bring my umbrella with me. I just want to step outside and maybe get a bit of a cool breeze off the rain. Just wait outside for a few minutes for the rain to stop. Probably be quite a crowd of people out here waiting for the rain to lessen. And there's the ceiling up above. Pretty simple building all in all when you think about it. It's just 4 walls and a huge roof. There's no second floor really. There's a little bit of a building here. I can see some stairs going up. So the gateway has a little bit of a room up there maybe. But other than that, there's really no other structure to this place. It's just a roof basically. This rainstorm is no joke. Been waiting quite a while and hasn't shown much sign of letting up. I thought it was stopping, but then it picked up steam again. Bentan Market there behind me. The rain has almost completely stopped. The rain is light enough now to risk it, as long as I keep my GoPro and microphone covered by my umbrella. This is the intersection I was talking about this morning. That's kind of interesting. I do have a walk signal, but I kind of have to wait until this traffic goes, and they run interference for me. They stop everybody from turning left. But I don't have very far to walk. Just across this intersection is the one section of the big park near my hotel, so I should be back there in just a few minutes and I'll be relatively dry. And with that, I think it's time to shut down the video for this morning. I enjoyed that quite a bit. The Museum of Ho Chi Minh City. I don't know if a lot of actual facts and figures stuck in my brain, but I left that museum with a greater overall sense of the nature of Ho Chi Minh City, of its history, and yeah, you get exposed to certain names over and over, and they slowly get drilled into your brain, and if you see them in the future, you make a connection. But even without learning a limited amount, the fault of my poor brain, I enjoyed the experience, walking around inside there, seeing the building, all the wedding activity, and then lunch at the Bentan Market. Nice way to finish it off. So heading back to my hotel now, shutting down the GoPro, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.